Hello and welcome to Cryptids of Australia Part 2. Last week we started our Australian outback adventure with 5 cryptids found in the land down under, and this week we continue our trek with the last 5. For anyone who is watching this video before watching the first one, I will reiterate the requirements to be included in this list. First off, you should go back and watch the first one, as you probably won't regret it. We'll be here waiting for you until you get back. In order for cryptids to be on this list, they have to be a physical being. In the Aboriginal culture, there are quite a few cryptids that are only found in what is called the dream time. These beings are seen as creators of everything, much like that of Native American lore. Being as such, these cryptids are not included here since they are more spiritual rather than physical. Elephant humanoid. Without starting you off easy, we jump into the strange cryptid that very few people know about, but has been spotted several times near the Narrabeen Lakes in New South Wales. Reported sightings of this being started on April 3rd of 1968 by a woman named Mabel Walsh. Mabel was driving along the Narrabeen Lake with her nephew when she happened to catch sight of a strange creature wading in the waters. It was described as being 4 feet tall, having a wrinkly gray skin, thick rounded legs, and short arms that were the same shape as the legs. Miss Walsh said it had a trunk like an elephant, small eyes, and was walking on its back legs. According to her story, the creature realized it wasn't alone, and hurried to the shore with speed that was shocking for something of its size, and so it shuffled back into the underbrush. 3 years later, in the month of April, 2 fishermen came forward with a tale about their encounter with the elephant humanoid. In their story, the 2 were fishing at night when they suddenly heard a loud splashing noise in the water. When they raised their lantern to see what was making the racket, they were shocked to see a creature looking exactly like what Mabel had seen a few years earlier. With their encounter, the beast didn't run away, but tried to stay in the shadows to keep hidden. While a lot of these sightings are claimed by skeptics to be a known creature such as an aardvark, something peculiar ties it with it all. An Islamic text printed in 1283, entitled Marvels of Things Created and Aspects of Things Existing, showcased a lot of pictures of known animals, as well as an elephant walking on its hind legs. What is truly fascinating is that the elephant depicted in the book isn't an ordinary pachyderm that enjoys walking like a human, but is in fact said to be a version of a jinn. I covered the topic of jinn in a previous video, in which it says they can change appearance at will. Maybe the people of Australia have had one living alongside them and never knew it. Australian Enigma. With this cryptid, we bring an end to the Australian beings that are found in the water, especially since these 2 videos have had quite a few of them. Not all encounters are found in recent times, and normally this factor tends to rule out a creature's existence, being a lot of encounters were frequently sensationalized versions of normal occurrences. However, with that said, there is some linking material that may lend credibility to what people reported. In 1808, the crew of a ship known as a 3-masted bark was sailing in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Australia when they were attacked by a strange sea serpent. As some back information, a bark is normally a vessel that doesn't fit into common ship classifications. Not a lot of description was given as to the appearance of the creature, other than its violent temperament and that its eyes were the size of warrior shields. This last feature leads many to believe that if this being actually existed, it might indicate that it was more of a nocturnal animal, or that it made its home in the deep dark depths of the ocean. According to the tales, the creature climbed onto the bow of the ship and viciously attacked the crew, in which it did manage to eat one of the men. The attack continued until the captain retrieved 2 revolvers, which he used to shoot out each one of the creature's eyes. The being then fell overboard into the ocean, never to be seen again. While looking into this topic, I found many interesting ties claiming that this beast could have actually washed ashore in a different location, in the form of what is known as a lobster. A lobster is normally a mass of flesh and cartilage that finds its way to beaches, and the identity of what the thing originally was remains a mystery or highly debated, with many whale carcasses being the customary culprit. As an interesting side note, the Stronsay beast, which is a lobster, found its way to a beach on the Stronsay Island in Scotland the same exact year as the Australian crew reported their attack by the Enigma. While the 2 are probably not related, it does make for some interesting conversation. Yummy Yahoo. Now we're moving into the realm of Aboriginal mythology, where this next creature is quite fantastic, albeit highly unlikely of actually existing. However, it is believed to be a physical creature and not one found in the spiritual plane of existence. The Yummy Yahoo is a small 4-foot-tall creature that is said to take residence in the treetops of fig trees, just waiting to attack its unsuspecting prey below. The creature is said to be red in color, has a huge head with no teeth, and has suction cup-like appendages on its hands and feet that it uses to suck the blood and life force from whatever it attaches to. It is reported to only attack living beings, primarily humans, where it will drop down, wrapping its limbs around a person's torso, and suck the blood of its victim until they are weakened. In this stance, the Yummy Yahoo then devours its prey whole, and then takes a nap to rest. After its rest, it goes through a cycle of regurgitating the victim and re-devouring it over and over again, until finally the once human being becomes a Yummy Yahoo as well. As you may have figured, the being doesn't kill humans, but on occasion there are tales that for some reason it will. According to legend, the creature only hunts during the day, so your best line of defense is to play dead until sunset, as it has no interest in eating something that isn't living. This cryptid is found all over the world, in places such as Asia, Brazil, and Germany, but normally it is found by way of cautionary tales of people straying too far away from home or not being aware of their surroundings. With that said, I do find it interesting that so many different locations have all developed the same exact creature. Kinda makes you think, and maybe even look up once in a while entering a forested area. Perth creature. With the Burrador and Australian T-Rex on the first video, I thought it only fitting to include another cryptid from our Earth's past. This cryptid is frequently tied to the one known as the Ropin from New Guinea, although this version is missing the feature of bioluminescence. Basically, this cryptid is said to be a living pterosaur that flies around the area of Perth, which is the capital of Western Australia. In 1993, a man named Tom was out driving around with his girlfriend when they decided to make camp. According to him, at about 6 p.m., he saw what he thought was a plane flying extremely low towards him. As it came closer, he realized it was an animal that at first he mistook for a bird he wasn't familiar with. It was at this point he realized this bird had leathery wings without feathers, a long tail, and the head of a pterosaur. Tom stated that it glided most of its flight, flapping its wings very little. When his girlfriend woke up, he told her about the encounter, but she didn't believe him, so he quit talking about it until others stepped forward with similar experiences. In December of 1997, a husband and wife both saw the Perth creature as well. They described a situation much like what Tom reported, although they added that the wings were semi-triangular, like that of a shark fin. They also stated it had reddish-brown skin and its wingspan was about 30 to 50 feet across. A lot of people have ridiculed this couple for their sighting, claiming it was a bat, but the size and wings not flapping make that theory questionable. Yowie. I'm sure many of you figured this cryptid would find its way onto this video. As with most areas around the world, there are many variations of Bigfoot, and Australia is no different. What sets this one apart is that it is quite aggressive in nature. The Yowie has been sighted all over Australia, including ancient cave paintings, and has varying names depending on location, but the descriptions stay relatively the same. It is said to stand 7 to 9 feet tall, have reddish brown hair, a pronounced red mouth, long sharp claws on its hands, and 2 fangs that grow from its mouth. Although it is worth mentioning that there are said to be 2 distinct versions of the Yowie, but the only difference is in size, with one group being as how I mentioned, and the other only being 4 to 5 feet tall. The face of the Yowie is said to resemble more of a primate than that of the normal Sasquatch. According to stories, it has attacked humans and is known to literally rip a kangaroo's head from its shoulders. There are so many reported sightings of this being that I could make a whole video about them and still not tell them all. For the sake of time, I will briefly go over only a few. In 1849, there were multiple sightings of what the locals called a mix between a baboon and a man that frequently visited the villages. In many of the stories, the Yowies and the humans did fight against each other, but for the most part, they did frequently interact. A controversial picture taken by a man named Rich Jones in 1936 shockingly shows 2 loggers sitting next to a large hairy creature with its hands on its lap. Sightings occur up until this day, and frequently when animals are killed in a strange way, Yowies are commonly blamed. Outside of this aggressive nature, there are reports of friendly sightings. In 2010, a man reported seeing an adolescent yowie in his garage and claimed it seemed to be trying to communicate with him. So I'll end this here, but I'm curious if you enjoyed our Australian adventure, and just for fun, which one of the 10 cryptids I mentioned would you not ever want to meet up with? If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this, as well as other topics about the odd things in life. If you would, I appreciate every thumbs up I get on my videos, as well as it helping out my channel greatly. Before I completely end this video and series, I wanted to take a moment and say this one is dedicated to the memory of my wife's grandfather, Harold Johnson, who passed away Wednesday at the age of 86. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!